My form is justice. And my form is the world. Worship me. All hail Zamasu.
What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super Deck profile. Over the weekend, while all of the pros were up in Connecticut at the Hartford ARG, we were back down here, taking first place at another locals, running a leader I never thought I would actually run, Fused Zamasu. Now, at first, I really didn't like this leader for a couple different reasons. One being, like, I didn't like that he awakened at 2 life instead of 4 like most. And his activate main to me just kind of seemed bad as well. It says choose 1 card in your life and place it in the drop area. If the card you placed in the drop area with this skill is blue, draw 1 card. So you can, at the cost of 1 life, you can maybe draw a card. If you're running mono blue, you're going to get that draw. But I'm not running mono blue for 1, and really I feel like slowly whittling away your life takes away from Fused Zamasu's awakened ability, and when you hit 2 or less life, you draw 2 cards and you awaken him to Absolute God Fused Zamasu. This is the side that I like, and this is the side I feel like makes this leader really good. If damage is inflicted to your life, place 5 cards from the top of your deck in the drop area instead. 10 cards if you receive 2 damage, 15 for 3, etc. And then when this card attacks, draw a card. So essentially, you get yourself down to 1 or 2 life, awaken, and then your whole deck is life. And if you play pretty conservatively, you can avoid having to even mill those 5 cards for life damage, whether it be via combo or via negates. And the way you can play this deck, because it is blue, really helps with being able to preserve those cards in your deck instead of having to spend them on damage. Now, every deck has to have a 1-drop, so of course our 1-drop in this deck is Universe 10 Supreme Kai Gowasu.
How could you, Zamasu?
He's a 1-cost, 5,000 power. When you play this card, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 god among them, add it to your hand. I choose him over Buu, and I've been choosing him over Majin Buu in a couple different decks now. Since this deck is just primarily gods, there's really no reason not to. Like, yeah, the +1 is nice, and I did miss with this the last 3 times that I played him during the day, and it really sucked. But it's worth the payoff, especially since when you're running blue, both your super combos, whether you choose Piccolo or Kibito Kai, are gods, so you can just add a super combo to your hand. Then, one of the cards I've really been wanting to try out is Evil Psyche Zamasu. He's a 2-cost 5,000 with Blocker, Indestructible, and Barrier. Indestructible says this card cannot be KO'd or removed from the battle area by neither battle nor your opponent's card skills. So, as long as you don't do anything to remove him, he goes nowhere. And he's basically an indestructible blocker. He can take any hit you need to, no questions asked, and he's not going anywhere because of Barrier either. His permanent is the kind of thing that makes him a little gimmicky. It says this card cannot be switched to active mode, and only 1 Evil Psyche Zamasu can be played in your battle area. Nothing can switch him back to active mode. Not even the 2-drop North Supreme Kai that lets you untap a god. He cannot be untapped by anything, no matter what. But having a free blocker, there's basically a free negate at any time, is really good. And once you've used up that block, then you just use him for Union Patara fodder. Now, probably my most used card of the day, and probably the best card in the deck overall, is Terror Scythe Goku Black. He's a 3-cost 15,000. When you play this card, play 2 Shadow tokens, and they have 10,000 power, and they combo for 5,000. Then you can choose as a monster from your deck, add it to your hand. If you do so, discard a card. I kind of forgot about the second effect. I never actually used it, but at the same time, I never really needed to use it. there wasn't really ever anything in my hand that was dead, and I always had a Zamasu that I needed for Union Pataras. So, but getting out the 2 tokens is what's really nice, because you just leave the tokens. You don't attack with them. I mean, you can, and I did occasionally, but 9 times out of 10, I just leave the tokens out there, and they're just free combo fodder for me to just soak up hits and avoid damage. Now, one of the reasons this deck was built the way it is was because of the combo that I thought of using with the Almighty Beam Fuse Zamasu. 4 cost 20,000, but you evolve him, but you union him for 2 blue on a Goku Black and a Zamasu. So that's one way to get rid of the Zamasu blocker off your board, and then you can play a second one. But the cool thing about him is when you play this card, if your leader card is Zamasu, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and put it on the bottom of their deck. Putting it on the bottom of their deck is probably one of the better parts. Now, it does put it back in the deck for them to draw it or use it again, but I'd rather that than it bounce it back to their hand. And speaking of bouncing cards back to their hand, the reason I wanted to run this card so much is because I also wanted to run it with Rebirth of Justice, which says choose up to 1 blue battle card in your hand with an energy of 5 or less and play it. Then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to their hand. So you play Rebirth of Justice, which is a 4 cost, same cost as Fuse Zamasu. You play Fuse Zamasu via Rebirth of Justice, bounce a card back to the hand, then spin a battle card to the bottom of the deck. And that right there gets rid of 2 threats. A couple times I did use it just to get rid of blockers, because they can be a pain in the ass. And because there are going to be times that I don't Union Patara for Almighty Beam, then Rebirth of Justice comes in really handy to be able to play him and get an extra battle card off my opponent's board. So we ran 4 of those. Now we wanted to run 4 of the Almighty Beam, but I could only get a hold of 2. My teammates didn't have more than 2 of them, and we couldn't get any more special editions. Our LGS was out of them. So instead we put in 2 Piccolo the Strategist. In a way, this Piccolo is better because he has crit and he has barrier. And, I mean, you're going to choose a battle card the energy costs equal or less than the energy, than your energy and KO it. So you're still going to be able to hit their cards just like you would with Almighty Beam. Only difference being Piccolo has crit and barrier, so he's not really going to leave the board, and he's going to get that crit damage in. However, the Zamasu also lets you Union Evolve for 2, which is a really good cost to be able to bounce any card back to the bottom of the deck. So would I keep it this way? I don't know, because Piccolo would be the better card to attack with, but at the same time, being able to Union with the Almighty Beam makes him more playable as well. Then we've got our other Union Patara target, Twisted Justice Fuse Zamasu. He's a 7 cost, 25,000 power, but you union him for 1 green and 4 other. So really easy energy manipulation. He's got double strike and indestructible, but his auto is what really makes him good. When you play this card, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards or 2 cards in your opponent's hand, and your opponent places all the chosen cards in the drop area. More often than not, I was choosing cards in their hand. The sad part is I have to choose them at random, since I don't get to look at my opponent's hand, but still, taking 2 cards out of their hand is going to be a lot better than getting rid of 2 of their battle cards. Most of the time. And like I said, with the previous combo with Rebirth of Justice, my opponent's really not going to have many battle cards I'm worried about. Then, of course, we've got the MVP of the deck, Joyful Strike, Goku Black, Rose. Still my favorite card in the deck. Still one of my favorite cards in the game. He's a 6 cost with 25,000 power. Some games I didn't even need him. Some games I couldn't get to 6 energy and he just got charged or he just got comboed off. But when you play him, if your leader card is Zamasu or Goku Black, you inflict 2 damage to your life. If you do so, choose 6 of your energy and switch him to active mode. So essentially he's free, and you get to draw 2 of your life. Now, with this leader though, chances are you're not going to have the life energy to do it, because you're going to be awakened. So instead of burning life, you just mill 10 cards. So he's a free card to play and reset your energy. If you don't have the cards to do it, though, it's not always worth it, or if you can't push for game, because you do need those cards in your deck to be able to mill for the leader's effect. But overall, this is still probably the most powerful card in the deck. Now, with the way the game has been going and the way it's going to go with some of the Tournament of Power stuff, and I'm sure with the Set 4 stuff as well, spot removal is definitely needed. So we ran 2 Masse and the Mysterious Warrior. I actually chose to run 2 of him instead of 2 Time Patrol, and I'm really glad I did, because this card against the Veggie package is so good. So good. To be able to take out a Kaba and a Khalifa, to take out a Kaba and a Kale, to take out 2 Kabas, whatever. This card is amazing. You overwhelm 5 cards, and you tap 1 energy, and you choose any number of your opponent's battle cards without blocker that add up to 5 or more, and send them to the warp. And then he's got Double Strike as just an extra add-on. But getting rid of those Kabas, oh, that's such a satisfying feeling, and you can splash Mass Saiyan in pretty much any deck. Now, for me personally, I can't not run these cards in any of the decks I run, especially when I'm playing blue. I have to play Raging Spirit Son Gohan. Future Gohan's one of my favorite characters, and I just like these cards. I think the ability to combo for 1, for 10,000 power, and then bring up 15,000 attacker to your board, that's 1 extra attack you're getting on your opponent's leader every turn for 1 energy. So you're essentially avoiding taking damage to your life, and then you're going to either deal damage to their life or force them to combo so that they don't. Honestly, I think these cards are just too good not to use. Another card that I have to run in every blue deck is Unyielding Spirit Trunks. The card is just so good. When you combo with this card during your turn, if your leader is blue, choose 1 of your energy and switch it to active mode. That allows you to tap out and then open up your energy either for a negate or for a +1 combo like Gohan or a Senzu Bean, any of that stuff. I feel like if you're running a blue leader, there's absolutely no reason not to run 4 of these. Then we've got our blue super combo boost attack Piccolo. Now, I didn't actually choose to run Piccolo over Kibito Kai, as I've been trying to run Kibito Kai in more stuff, in more of my blue decks. But when I built this deck and I was just playtesting hands with it, I just threw Boost Attack Piccolo in there because that was the first thing I found. And when we started playing, I kind of forgot about it, and I just left him in there. I don't recall there being any situation at all where Kibito Kai would have helped. I think for the most part I played my super combos offensively, so Kibito Kai's ability would have been irrelevant. But I feel like either one is good. I feel like you could run either of the super combos and you could do just fine. Then we've got for Senzu Bean. I don't believe Senzu Bean is necessary in every blue deck. I also don't see no reason not to run it if you have the space for it. You know, giving your leader 5,000 power for the duration of the turn is so good, playing it defensively, because you force your opponent to have to combo when they didn't need to, or to combo heavier just to ensure that they get a little extra damage off you. Plus, it's more so for the fact that, like with the Trunks, you get that 1 energy open, and you can either continue to make plays, or you've got energy open for defensive plays. So, Senzu Bean's a really good card. And then since half the deck is blue, I ran 2 Zeno buttons. I only played them like once or twice. It wasn't really that helpful. I think some of the time I just charged it. But with the deck being half green, half blue, you're not going to untap all your energy, but it does come in clutch sometimes. So it's not a bad card. And then lastly, we've got our counterattack, Whis' Coercion. Negated attack and then untap an energy. So essentially he's free as long as you have the blue energy already untapped to play him. And I think, especially for Zamasu, having a negate is essential to the deck. But we don't play the deck, you know, as defensive and stally as other people play it. We try to play it as aggressively as we can, and the Terror Scythe Goku Blacks help out with that a lot. So I wasn't even sure if we were going to be playing this deck over the weekend. I thought I was going to be playing my Vegito deck, so I didn't have a side deck prepared for this, but we didn't really need one for the particular matchups we played. Round 1 we played against a red Khalifa deck, so it was essentially the red GT engine and some other red aggro cards with the Khalifa leader. The Khalifa leader is just insanely aggressive, and you wouldn't think that adding that extra 5,000 to all your guys would be that big of a deal. But between Khalifa's effect and Kaba's effect, you awaken yourself on turn 2 whether your opponent attacks you or not. So it's really aggressive, but at the same time it's really frail to aggro as well. And since we play our Zamasu deck aggressively, we were kind of able to a little bit outpace it, as long as we managed to keep killing his battle cards. Round 2, we played against Red Pan GT. He was running both of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku EX Evolves, which I like those. I just don't think that they're really that... I really don't think they're that good unless you have a way to get them out kind of early, because when you get them out such late game... Now, I know what you're thinking. Late game, you know, you can hit for that triple strike or hit for that essentially dual attack double strike for game, but late game I've got options to deal with it. Whereas I kind of feel like if you could get it out earlier rather than later, then that's a much bigger threat to have to deal with, you know, when you've only got 1, 2, 3 energy. And then lastly, we played against Golden Frieza Veggies. Again, the veggie package is so good, but killing Kaba is your #1 priority in taking out the veggie package. Having the ability to Shugesh in a Kale when you have a Kaba on the board really hurts. So getting those Kabas off the board as quick as you can is your best play. And since they have to have 2 green energy, they can't play anything that's not green turn 1 and turn 2, because they have to get those green energy down as quick as possible. And if I can get enough cards in my warp to play Mass Saiyan and get rid of those Kabas, then it kind of hurts their momentum, because Kale is now much harder to play, and you can't play Kale for free. He also played stuff like Terror Scythe, Goku Black, you know, it's stuff like that. It's a fun deck to play, and it's a fun deck to play against, but Kaba is so important in that matchup that it kind of can make or break whether or not you win or lose the game. But at the end of the day, we did take first place, and I was pleasantly surprised by how well this deck worked. And I'm happy it worked well, because I enjoy the deck. It's a different tempo than Goku Black. And as much as I like my Mono Blue Goku Black deck, I feel like the Zamasu leader is just infinitely better, because the Goku Black leader is kind of underwhelming. And honestly, the Terror Scythe Goku Black cards are just really fantastic to play. Not to mention, both of the Union Bataras are just really good at taking card advantage and gaining field advantage by bouncing your opponent's stuff or dumping their hand. So overall, I think this deck could stand up competitively. I don't know that I would take it to a big event, but I think you would have a lot of fun with it either way. Alright, well, that's going to do it for our blue-green Zamasu deck profile. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you like the deck, hit that like button down below for us. You know, we appreciate all the support, and we appreciate all of our subscribers. We're over 500. The growth has been phenomenal lately, and you guys have been fantastic. I've really enjoyed sitting and talking with you guys in the comments and going over different things we could do with the decks, or even just hearing from you guys how well the decks have been working out for you. Feel free to try this deck out. Let me know how it does for you. Let me know any suggestions or concerns you may have with the deck. If you have questions, hit me up in the comments below. We're going to go ahead and get the freak out of here, though, and we'll see you guys in the next video.